Hi, welcome to Self Creations. My name's Joey Jobs. We're going to be making a mallard decoy today, and we're going to start with a piece of pine, head pattern, and a pencil. That's what we start with. So we mark it out with the grain, with the bottom of the head on the bottom of the board. The easiest way. Marking a few out so you can see how it's done. Try to keep the knots out of the head. But wood has knots because trees have limbs. Stay right around the line, outside or take the line. Doesn't really matter. But try to keep going, keep your cut going. Don't stop in the middle of the cut. Do the bottom and come up. Right there. A little piece of knot in there won't hurt anything. We got this cut out. Now, what we're going to do is mark a center line. And to do that, we're going to take the pencil in our hand and just adjust it to the center and run your fingernail up the side of that head, and that's how you get a center line right there. Now we're going to route the head. We're going to do underneath the throat, but not underneath the bill. Okay, and here we go. The head, and now we're going to draw knife the head with a couple different draw knives that were made by one of them was made by my father, Captain Harry. He makes decoys in Aberdeen. I also got two brothers make decoys on Otsego Street. I make decoys here on Bourbon. I've lived here for about 29 years now, I believe it is. But we're going to draw knife the head, and I'll show you how to do that. We're going to take our time a little bit, go through the steps. We're going to pull the front of the bill off first. You got to turn this draw knife, grab and turn. Of course, they got to be sharp. That's a draw knife. Can you see that? That's a planer blade. Draw knife made out of a planer blade. Just turn that draw knife a certain way, and you take that much off. Now we're going to do that. Now we're going to get under the throat with a different one, smaller, skinnier draw knife. You don't want to take too much of the sides of the bill off. You can always cut that down by hand with your whittling knife later. when you do the neck and you're taking off greater portions, use the ends of your draw knife, not the middle. Use the middle up in the middle of the head, middle of the draw knife. Left side of the draw knife. Right side of the draw knife. Now here, we're going to get in this bill here and kind of, see, I'm trying to turn that draw knife in there. Take a little clip off the side. And we're going to take that, we're going to drum sand this head and smooth out some edges and do the back and form it up a little bit on this airbag drum sander. Here's where the middle line comes into play. We left that on there. There's where we kept the shape of the head. We're going to take it off. There's the difference. Just taking the 45 degree off that we took off with the router, and do the sides of the head and the neck, just concave, and make it look like a duck head. Alright, we're going to whittle the heads with some whittling knives that are made by me, and they're made out of straight razors. This is an old straight razor you shave with and use down the barber shop. Several different types, bigger knives to take more wood off, and this is a gilling knife. They call it a gilling knife, and I believe I'm going to use this one. First of all, just clean the throat out a little bit. This is white pine. And cut the bill back straight. Little neck off there. And turn that knife and just cut from what was up inside that gill. Just make everything round. Then we're going to cut this back a little bit, not taking too much off, and take the edges off of it. And make it look like a duck's bill. My father once told me how to carve a duck head is to take everything off that doesn't look like a duck. So that's what you try to do. You're sticking that point of that knife right close to that gouge I just made in there. And we're cutting a V up here. Pull in underneath of it, pop right out. Straighten that out a little bit. And you got yourself a duck head. We're going to use the first belt, which is a 60 grit belt, to sand the rough off, and then we're going to go to 100 grit, and it's even worn down even smoother, and we'll show you the difference on what the two belts make. And here we go. Tighten the belt up a little bit. Stay in the back of the head. Go to the top. Go to the side. Down in the throat. Other side. You got to work that belt around with your finger in the back of that belt. That's what you have to do. We're going to go to the 100. Work that belt around the head with your fingers. This belt isn't too sharp, so it doesn't gouge the head. Round the top of the head off. We're going to round the bill. Undercut the bill. Bip, bip. And there you go. There's the difference. Nice and smooth. Smooth underneath the throat. The bill is nice and round. And he's ready to go on a body. Okay, now we're at the first step of making the body. We're going to turn body on the lathe. This is the pattern wheel. This flows on a lead screw, and our blade will take the excess wood off of this particular block is cedar. We use different types of wood: cedar, white pine, basswood. But this time it's cedar. There's the outside of the tree right there. So we're going to chalk this up in here and let it roll. And line it up to make sure we can get the body out of the center of that. And here we go. Okay, now that that's done, we'll take it down and spoke shave it and fit it up for a head. Alright, now we're going to spoke shave the body. We're going to take off the marks that the blade leaves. That's the idea of spoke shaving. This particular spoke shave I made, this is a handmade spoke shave. It's pretty sharp, and we're going to see how it works. Okay. You have to kind of get the feel for this part of it also. Keep turning it, going off taking the edge to that point right there. Okay, now we're going to go right to the bandsaw and cut these off. Knowing where to cut the tail just comes from doing so many of them. You might sit and cut 150 off, or 100, or 50. Okay. We're just going to take some excess off the top, and we're going to round that. This is the first, or the second actually, after cutting the tail off, of making sure the tail is square to the top of the body. Okay, now we're going to shape the tail and the breast on the 36 grit drum sander. One side. Get a perfectly straight tail with the head mount. Now we're going to plane a head mount off and mark the head on there. Put the body in the vise. And we'll use a flat sander. If you would want to turn the head, you'd make the mount a little bit bigger so you had room to turn it. I'll mark 1, 1. Now we're going to glue the heads on and put a couple staples up front of the head around near the neck. I'll show you how that's done. Now we're going to putty around the neck and fill the 2 staple holes with some. I use auto body filler, which is a really durable type of body filler, or putty for around the necks, and makes a good finish. Very sandable, and it dries fairly fast. Probably within a half hour. Get it mixed thorough. Put it around the back, come around. Get the little staple hole around the back. Now we're gonna sand the body and then sand around the neck. We're gonna sand the body first with a 60 grit belt, and we're gonna go to a 100 grit belt. Okay, now that we've belt sanded this duck, we're going to take it upstairs, and it gets 3 coats of primer, ballast weight and ring and staple to hold the line, and wing patches. and white around the neck and the tail, and then we're going to paint it from there. Now we're going to start painting this mallard that we worked so hard on downstairs. We've added 3 coats of primer, 2 wing patches, which are put on with a template as such, and white around the neck, white around the tail. There's your ballast weight and ring of staple that we've added. And now we're going to start. We're going to paint the whole bird first, which we need this gray body color on, up to a little bit in front of the ring, which the breast gets a reddish color, so we don't want to go all the way up on the breast, or we don't want to go all the way back on the tail, because underneath the tail gets black. We'll stay heavy on the white lines, come around where the breast might be. You can't see it very good because you have gray primer underneath, but you can see it from wet paint to dry paint. Cut your wing patches squarely, a little bit behind each wing patch, the white, not too much. And the gray body color is brought back straight in the middle, but not all the way back. So you have dry around the white of the tail. Now we're going to put another feather on with white in front of the wing patch. Real easy up and down motion. You're going to take that wing patch and cut it into a V that matches with the front of the wing patch, which will be going around with our dark feathers, back feathers. And we're going to touch the edge of that brush in the back of there and pull it back real easy. And touch it there and pull it back. And you'll see why in a little bit. Come up along each wing patch like so. Going to cut this edge with your feather brush up in perpendicular. Both of them. We're going to make one straight down the back and stop right there. And then we'll make one around the side. Come up along the side of that white feather and the wing patch. And your final feather is coming down the back. And we'll touch the side up here with, make it a little darker. Same thing on this side. Watch the inside of your brush. The right side of your brush doesn't cover the white or the wing patch. Yeah, we're going to straighten the sides of that brown feather up a bit. I'm just going to cut it off like that. Add it right into the bottom. Same on this side. Now we're going to put the black tail on. You have to get the right amount of paint in this brush to cut this line down that side. It'll show better on this side here. and on the bottom. It's going to come right across where we left off the body paint and match it right up to the body paint, the gray. Come out. Once you take that brush out there, you'll find that you have gray on it. You just put it right back in the middle here. Because if you start messing with it out here, you're gonna have too much of that body color in that black out on the edge. Now we're gonna blend the bottom. Old brush, old stiff brush. That's all it is. And blend that paint together right down there. Go across it 2 or 3 times, you get a nice blend job. Now we're going to put some green in the middle on his tail with another blending brush which I made. This started out as a stencil brush, a round flat-ended brush, which you cut the front off at an angle, and you'll get a blended brush like that. Now we're going to put the tail feathers in. I'm using a little bit of mineral spirits or paint thinner, doesn't matter, whatever, to thin this paint out and get it the right consistency that you need to hold that paint on the brush. You don't want a dry brush and you don't want it running off the brush. So you make your brush flat, use a flat, this is white sable brush. I make 1, 2, and stop before you get to the white patches behind your wing patch. 3, and go right again. 4, 5. Now I'm going to go over cross over. Some guys do it a little different than this, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And what we can do behind the tail feathers is, with your tail feather brush, is kind of blend those together along the back edge. It does a little better job, makes it look a little nicer. So now we're going to put another back feather in it with a acrylic brush, long liner. You make sure if any of the brush strokes you had earlier that came and hit that feather, you can take those out of there by covering it up with that. We're going to put the breast on it. Sometimes you can paint the breast on it, sometimes you don't have to, but we're going to now. You can let it dry and go over it sometimes. You kind of you don't want your body color to mix with your red very much. So you're always working the brush and kind of getting it to mix with it. That's why sometimes we may not even paint the breasts on these mallards and come back later and do it, because when your body paint's dry, it won't mix with this red color. But that seems to work pretty good. I don't know. Thing there. Okay, now we're going to blend behind the neck with another small blending brush that I made from an old tail brush. And you can come back here a little bit more, or whatever you'd like to do. However you like it. You don't have to like it, the ducks have to like it. And before you set it on the shelf, you gotta touch the bottom up. Touch your weight, ring, and there he is. Let the body dry, and now we're going to paint the head and put an eyelash on it with a certain brush. I'll show you what that brush is. After we paint the head here, we get our paint right, put a little thinner in it, get it the right consistency. And we're going to turn the duck a little, like so. Sometimes you move the brush and sometimes you move the decoy itself. I'm going to get up in the gills, but not far enough up to where you're going to disturb the bill color, because the lighter color will not cover a darker color as easy as the opposite. And stroke it out a little bit to get that right. We're going to use a fan brush here to put the eyelash on. I'm going to use a little black, mainly black, and lighten it up a little bit with our green. And just dab. It's not a full black, but it makes a nice eyelash on there. Okay, now we're going to put the eye in. We're going to use this is a piece of bamboo, a certain diameter that I picked out with it's got a nail in the end of it, just round it off. And I made that and some of the tools of the trade. And we're going to lay some yellow, chrome yellow paint down on our bench with a knife. Just kind of make it thin. Then we're going to get some black, a little dot of black there. We're going to take our iron and just roll it maybe twice to get it started. And we're going to go 1. And line them up, and there's the other side, and there's where you use the nail for. Just dot it in there and kind of roll it a little bit in that center of that yellow. Now, we've got that. Now, well, I've already put a prime coat on the bill. Usually the mallard bill takes 2 coats to cover. At least 2, sometimes 3. I'm just going to go over that bill with this bill color that is chrome yellow with a little bit of black in it. Not to make it as dark as a black duck bill, which is an olive drab color, but 2 or 3 shades lighter than that. I'm going to go along the edge of the gill. It looks pretty good, it's covering pretty good. And there's the eye, which I'm going to do another little trick here that kind of brings out the eye a little bit. I'm going to use a small piece of wire and put a small white dot in the eye to simulate a reflection in the eye. And what we're going to do is fit it in there and a little up off center, which highlights the eye. And now what we're going to do now is just a final tip on the bill, nutcracker, as you'd say. I can get that paint off me. Just a little nutcracker on there, and that mallard is finished right there. Now we went through the different processes of making a decoy, and we'd welcome you to stop by the Hattie Gray's Decoy Museum. And the numbers will be on your screen, and our annual festival, which is held always the first weekend in May. And thank you for watching Self Creations.